Yeah, it's like the kind of story like you said, you would call your friend to say it, but you would not even say it at a dinner party. And if you said it at a dinner party, you would say it once. It's not one of these stories you would keep saying at a dinner party because everyone wants you to say it again.
Yeah.
Hello everyone.
Hello guys.
I'm Veronica.
And I'm Valdemar.
And today is another day, and another day sometimes means another comedian. Today we're watching Billy Connolly with his bit about a dwarf on a bus that I am hoping is a...
And now we are cancelled.
I am hoping is a reference to a mythical creature and not to a little person, but I'm not hopeful about it. Anyway, we shall see. But this person...
Can you say midget still or not?
Not really. No, it's also not...
But in Game of Thrones, Tyrion always preferred when they called him midget.
I'm sure the opinion of the fantastical character is what everyone's taking into account. I think you say little people now, but I'm not so sure. Anyway, I think that's safest to say. Anyway, and that no one's gonna be hurt if you say that. But this guy was recommended to us quite a lot by one lovely subscriber who commented a lot that we should watch him. I think it's a favorite of theirs. So I am quite excited.
And I know this guy from somewhere. I don't know from where, but definitely I have seen him somewhere. This face is very characteristic. And
yeah, with the long hair, right? And
No. I know him from... I think he is older in the medium from which I know him. Because he has short hair.
Okay.
So I don't think he was able to grow so much hair, and he was already having a gray hair. So I think it's more likely that he had long gray hair and then he cut them.
Okay.
And then he did something in which
I
have seen him.
That might mean that you've seen him when he was older.
But I don't know from what.
Well, you think about that, maybe you let us know at the end of the video, and for now we can see what he's on about. I like his style, I like his outfit. It's making me think when we were all wearing those striped shirts. I don't know if you remember that time when we were like in high school.
No.
But that was very, very fashionable at that point.
What, you look like that?
No, but I now I remember I saw your photos from high school, and I'm not surprised you were not one of the fashion kids.
But wait, you were wearing
not
like
pants,
a shirt?
But I had a shirt that had this black and white stripes,
so
just like that.
But the shirt is black.
I had a shirt like the pants that he's wearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a hat like the shoes he was wearing 2 days ago.
Let's find out what he says, what he has to say. There we go.
Oh, so anyway, my sister told me this.
It's Scottish accent too?
Tiny
And
bit.
she swears that it's true.
But it's the one
And
you like.
I hope it's true. And if I tell it right, you will hope it's true.
They understand everything, great.
My sister is a retired school teacher. And she supplies herself to people who don't have teachers. She's a supply teacher. When somebody is sick or dead, she'll supply herself.
What?
And a lot of her friends do this as well. And her friend...
I'm sorry, but did he lose the key somewhere on the stage?
Yeah, he's looking at his
key. Where is it?
Yeah, he looks a little bit nervous. I don't know. Maybe it's just like part of his persona. I have no idea.
I don't think he's nervous. I think he lost the key somewhere.
Told her this story. And when she told me the story, I thought I would pee myself. I was in New York where I live, and she phoned me, and I fell on my phone's next to my bed. I fell onto my bed. You know that way you laugh, your legs won't work right. And I told my wife, I said, Flo just told me the funniest story. I'm going to tell my audience this. It's about a dwarf. And she said, well, you can't, Billy. You can't do it.
And it's from, yeah, so
it
was a long time ago already.
She says, because you can't say dwarf. I said, why the fuck now? I'm talking about a dwarf. Well, surely you can say dwarf when it's a dwarf you're talking about.
Ooh.
She says, they're little people. I said, but little people and dwarfs. There's a difference between a little person and a dwarf. One of them's a fucking dwarf.
Maybe he's talking about the mythical creature.
I think it goes there.
It fucking is. Don't give me that shite. So I decided to tell it. Her friend was going to supply herself to a school somewhere. And she got on a Glasgow bus. Oh, please be true. And
I don't think it's a mythical creature.
she sat down, and it just happened to be the last seat. And the bus took off and trundled off into the day. 4 or 5 stops later, the bus stops, and a wee dwarf woman comes on.
Okay, so it's not about a mythical creature.
The felony by calling her a wee dwarf.
I know it is controversial what I'm about to say, but I like this turn of event more than it was.
You like that it is the bad turn of events, after all.
No, but he's 100% right. Like, there is little people and there is dwarf, and when you're talking about dwarf, I will stop using the word dwarf if we will find a different word for those people other than little people, because it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry.
That's what they want to be called, and who
vote for that? Like, Peter Dinklage was like, okay, we are having a vote for the name for us, and the top proposition is little people. Like, come on.
Let's watch the stand-up. Just for the record, I do not agree with what you're saying. I think that's not nice. It's just a word. You can use a different one. Grow up.
But not the little people.
But that's the one that we are using. Just use this one. Whatever. Words are words. Doesn't matter what word it is. If people...
So why not dwarf if the words doesn't matter?
Yeah, because apparently that's not a good word and people feel offended and it has bad associations or whatever. Anyway, let's watch the stand-up.
She wasn't a particularly small dwarf. She was just a dwarf-sized dwarf. I'll probably get all sorts of complaints now. Dear Mr. Connolly, I saw your otherwise excellent show. What a pity you descended to the dwarf story.
Descended?
I, personally, am a member of the Tall Dwarf Society. I'm 6'4" and proud to call myself a dwarf.
He made himself laugh.
I also do impersonations of chocolate biscuits, if you're ever stuck. Anyway, the wee woman got on the bus, the wee dwarf woman, and discovered there's no seat, and so hung on to whatever was nearest, the seat to the pole or whatever, and the bus took off. There was a wee schoolgirl in a school uniform sitting over here, probably urged along by her mother. Give the woman your seat. Give that woman your seat. She went over to the wee dwarf woman and she said, excuse me, would you like to have my seat? Whereupon the wee dwarf woman flew into a rage and said, oh, aye, because I'm a dwarf. You're offering me a seat simply because I'm a dwarf. Well, I have managed my whole life as a dwarf. It's not a problem to me. Keep your seat. The girl, cringing with embarrassment, went back to her seat, and the bus trundled on in silent embarrassment for a stop or 3. Then, oh, please be true, a big Glasgow woman was getting off the bus. And before she went up to the door, she went over to the wee dwarf woman. She said, I'm getting off the bus and I'm leaving my empty seat here. Because I'm a dwarf? You said, no, not because you're a dwarf, because you're another human being. I happen to be leaving the bus. My seat is vacant. I'm merely pointing it out to you that it exists. As a matter of fact, I thought you were extremely rude to that wee girl and you owe her an apology. As a matter of fact, I hope when you go home tonight, Snow White kicks your ass.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
What?
I didn't understand the end. I'm sorry.
I don't think we missed that much.
Again.
Okay.
Snow White kicks your ass.
Snow White kicks your ass. Okay, it wasn't that good. I mean, dwarf little people, I can have this argument, but like joke with the Snow White is not the greatest joke.
Yeah, I mean,
come up with.
If I was given 5 seconds to come up with a, well, what's the word, by the way? Because it's not racist, it's just like discriminatory, like, yeah, something like that. Like, come up with a funny discriminatory joke about little people. You have 5 seconds. I think that would be one of the first things that you could think about.
Yes, but then I would be like, that's too lazy.
Yeah,
but let's find something else.
It's been quite a while since we watched this pun kind of comedian, because this is the style. Although Norm Macdonald is way more wholesome than this, but you know, that kind of style when there was this fall at the end instead of a punchline, so I didn't expect it.
I don't felt it that way, that it was like a Norm Macdonald style.
No, I wouldn't
because
say
with Norm, it's not just the end of the journey; it's the journey itself.
The whole journey. But this is, I think you understand what I mean. It's just it was not a story that was funny for the whole thing. He was telling a joke with a very not funny punchline. That style. That's what I mean.
But I think he believed that the punchline was pretty funny.
I don't know. I think I choose to believe he didn't think so.
No, because
it's funny.
It's like it would be like a funny story if you would see it with your own eyes, like definitely. And if it would happen to me, I would definitely like call someone to tell him what happened. And I think I would laugh, and the other person would laugh too, because it's unusual. It doesn't happen every day. But if you are going to a comedy show and you're expecting to hear some jokes, then you don't expect to hear like a story that would happen to his sister, and it was like, it's like
the kind of story like you said, you would call your friend to say it, but you would not even say it at a dinner party. And if you said it at a dinner party, you would say it once. It's not one of these stories you would keep saying at a dinner party because everyone wants you to say it again.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not the video you wanted us to watch. You can, if there are some jokes that maybe are a little bit
and
more.
Also, I mean, I appreciate the honesty, but I don't understand when comedians sometimes do things that way, that they like distant themselves from the story.
Mm-hmm.
And this story, he never saw this whole turn of events with his own eyes. It was his sister's story, and she wasn't even the person who was interactive with anyone in this story. She just observed it, and there were other people and the guy who is telling the story is so far from the center. Then you're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you guys gonna say I'm too stuck up, so I don't want to be too stuck up or anything. But just for me, it's a little bit too much how he made this whole point that he wants to use this word. Like he was arguing to his wife that he wants to use this word, and then the whole point of this story is the joke that makes the most obvious discriminatory joke you could ever think of. And I'm like, I think we should be rid of one of those things at least. Like at least one of them for good taste.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Me personally, I feel betrayed because I felt like I have an no adversary. Who is the person who is
ally?
I felt like I have an ally.
Yeah, now you are ashamed.
And now I'm like, no.
No, this guy.
Forget what I was saying.
we have to make up a title connected with this process of character growth we just went through, or like character betrayal. No, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for the recommendation. Always thanks for that. But I would like to see something else. Do you know about this
controversy in this new Snow White movie? That they don't have any actors who play the dwarfs in the story. They are all CGI, and it's mostly because of Peter Dinklage. And people are
because he didn't want to star, or because
he was arguing that it's derogatory. How do you say it?
Yeah, you can say derogatory.
Yeah, for little people to play dwarves in this story, and they already had people casted, and they fired all these people. I guess there were 7 of them, I think, and they were fired because of Peter Dinklage. So no one was playing them, and now people are like, so what? So Peter Dinklage was fine playing mythical creatures when it was him playing them. And now when somebody else can play them, then he's like, oh no, but you shouldn't have played mythical creatures or other dwarves when you are a little person. Only I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a topic that's so far
when he was playing in the Chronicles of Narnia, then no problem.
Yeah. No, I'm saying this is a topic that was like so far from my understanding. I have no idea about it. I don't even know any little person, so I don't know what they think about it. But I just think it's a very new and extreme brand of condescending that you would forbid people who casted for this position to play whatever they want. Like they were not snatched off the streets.
That's why I'm saying that I don't believe that there was like a national argument or whole world argument about the correct word.
No idea, to be honest.
And we are finishing video, so I will not add, but the disease is called dwarfism, not little peopleism.
Oh, but the same argument can be made about so many things. It just because
example, please.
Just because.
And now the video is like 30 minutes long. Let's go.
No, we'll finish.
I'm ready.
We'll finish soon. No, but just because something has been given a medical term a long time ago, that doesn't mean that people cannot decide to identify as something different and to want to.
Yeah, but I don't mind. I don't mind to. I was never against people, changing the name for something, but don't force people to like defy logic and now use the word little people. Like little people is the word that we use for people who are little.
No, it's I don't know, but I don't like the line of argument that
because the correct what?
You keep interrupting me. I just said I don't like the line of argument that you feel. I don't like this when people like us very often come out and they say that, oh, I don't like being forced to say something else. I don't like being forced to defy logic. I have to sacrifice my comfort. You're not sacrificing your comfort by learning to switch one word for another.
You kind of do, but that's not my point. That's not my point at all, that I need to sacrifice something. My point is just the stupidity of it. Like, we use this word dwarf for people who have dwarfism because it is a disease. It's not like a coincidence. It doesn't happen. Like it doesn't fall from the sky. It's not like one day you are a full 6 feet person and then one day you woke up and you are like 4 feet.
Yeah, of course. But what's your point?
Because we use this word to describe people who have this disease.
Yeah, but I don't know.
And little people like kind of like diminish this whole idea, and now it's like we call that every person who is like short. And it's not the same because
but maybe that's the whole point.
You can have short people and you can have dwarf people, and they can even have like a similar height. But dwarfism is not only just about height; it's about other medical like issues that you can have.
Yeah, but maybe I think you're beating the nail on the head with this one, because maybe people who have this disease don't want to be defined by their disease. As the first thing that you say, I saw a woman, and then another person, someone says, I saw a dwarf. Maybe they don't want to be defined by their disease. That's kind of rude and kind of sad, because that doesn't mean that the first thing you say about someone is their disease. And maybe the word little people is void a little bit of that connection for some reason.
But it's for me it's ridiculous, because it's like you're covering the reality. Because you see a person who is shorter, and like you see a person on a wheelchair, and you're like, I saw a person on a wheelchair. If you want to describe it for someone, for some reason,
like
you don't need to come up with the word. I saw I don't know. I don't want to say anything offensive, so I will not try to create a new word. But you have seen a person who was like that in this state, like. This was a person who had a dwarfism. This was a person who was in a wheelchair. This was a person who was using the walking stick.
Yeah.
And you don't define the person by it, but it is important. It can be important for the story, and also if you want to describe someone, it's a good characteristic. If you want to say that you want to talk about this person, and dancing around this, like if you have like one person at a job at your work, for example, who is black. Like, I mean, the race.
Yeah, of course.
And then you want to say something about this person to other person. You're like, Katie? Who's Katie? This person, she's like, black, curly hair.
Yeah, I see your point. Well, let's wrap it up anyway, because I don't agree, and we are not going to agree for the next half an hour. So I will welcome any kind of discussion that you'd like to have in the comments.
If you like those discussions, though, subscribe to our channel because we have lots of them.
We have lots of them, and we will continue this offline. Yes. We'll take this offline, as you say nowadays in corporate America and corporate Europe as well. But anyway, if you have the person who recommended this guide to us, if you would like to recommend us another video that's not going to spin us into a 20-minute discussion about discrimination and other stuff, that would be great.
Yes, but also if you have any other videos that will do that, then...
Bye! I'll see you next video. Bye, 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 bye.